Greetings. Today we're going to be learning facts about the Vikings. Vikings are apparently some kind of sports team, but that's not what we're here to discuss today. Today we're talking about Vikings, who are our people from all over what is now Scandinavia, well known for conquering much of the world by sea. The period we know today is the Viking Age, span from approximately 800 to around 1066 CE. However, Scandinavian travelers, adventurers, merchants, and mercenaries were active before this period and continue to be well after it ended as well. Contrary to what you may have arrogantly assumed, the Vikings were not, in fact, one single unified race or nationality, but more of an unaffiliated collection of many small groups. You know, like how Twitter isn't just one race, it's lots of different mixes of groups. Weird example, during the Viking Age, the land that now makes up Denmark, Norway, and Sweden was ruled over by a patchwork of Norse tribes that frequent Evora monks themselves, as well as with other civilizations. Of course, the people be collectively now known as the Vikings, are known today for sailing all over the place, both to trade valuable goods and food, or alternatively just raid the gap and take everything by force. Their logical Munsons took the Vikings from their homelands in Scandinavia across wide areas of Europe, as well as North America to the west, Russia to the east, and North Africa and Iraq to the south. During this period, roughly 200,000 people that Scandinavia to settle in other regions, mainly Greenland, Iceland, Ireland, England, Scotland, and France. They got about basically these voyages were mostly men who had little to lose, and the seductive prospect of fighting around the world goading them to set sail. There is a significant amount of disagreement regarding the origins of the word Viking, with numerous different explanations offered by various sources. One interpretation is that the word comes from the word Vik, meaning a creek inlet or small bay. Well, another holds that Viking is an Old Norse word for pirate raid. Capturing the essence of the Vikings has either brutal pillagers or lovable scamps, depending on who you ask. And Anglo-Saxon writers, however, variously referred to the Vikings as Danes, Norsemen, Northmen, sea rovers, sea wolves, the Great Army, and perhaps most ominously, though the attack on Lindisfarne in 793 is often stated, it's the first recorded instance of a Viking raid anywhere in Britain or Ireland. Vikings had set foot in Britain several years earlier in 7893 Viking ships landed at Portland in Dorset, when a high-ranking local official attempted to take taxes from them after mistaking them for merchants. Oh dear, big mistake. Guess what happened next? Yeah, that's right, the Vikings killed him and then sailed on. However, this was not an invasion airy force and may have been simply blown off course when they are right. The attack on Lindisfarne in 793 was different in that it was a deliberate pillaging of an English settlement, and thus constitutes the first recorded instance of a Viking raid. The attack was described in an account written by an Englishman called Alton, who wrote that on the Ides of June, the hiring of the heathen destroyed God's church on Lindisfarne, bringing ruin and slaughter. Yikes, that sounds rough, mind you. It's what all stags do now when we go abroad, sir. The Vikings continued to make regular raids around the coast of England, stealing various goods and valuables and capturing people as slaves who were known as thralls. Monasteries were often targeted specifically as they held valuable items and artifacts like precious silver or gold chalices, plates, bowls, and crucifixes, 11 outside Anglo-Saxon England. The Vikings also took over and settled in Iceland, the Faroe Islands, and Orkneys, where they became farmers and fishermen, occasionally leaving their homes on summer trading or raiding voyages. 12. The Isle of Man also became a Viking kingdom at some point in the 11th or 12th century. The island's legislature that Tim Balls originates from the Norse tradition of things serving as a reminder of Viking role and possibly constituting the oldest continuous parliamentary body in the world. What a nerdy fact, but you didn't expect that. Hey, you thought it was all pillaging, but no. 13. In Ireland, the Vikings raided coastal areas and up rivers and eventually established several settlements. They got everywhere, they really did, like lice. In 840 Viking sets was founded the city of Dublin, which is now Ireland's capital, as well as other cities such as Cork, Waterford, and Limerick. 14. In 845, a fleet of 120 Viking ships sacked and occupied the city of Paris, which, fun fact, is what the Kanye West and Jay-Z song Paris is actually about. They refused to leave until King Charles the Bald, yet that actually was his name. Pay them 2,570 give-grams of silver and gold, demanding 15. As a result of all these raids, the Vikings quickly acquired a fearsome reputation.